All right, what's up everyone? The M2 giveaway is in full swing, and in the spirit of that, it's going to be a month and a half of M2 stuff. And I mean, it's already detailed. We did the interior video the other day. Today I'm going to work on the studs, the wheel studs and lugs from Raceseng that I've been waiting. I was waiting several months for them, and then I knew we were doing the giveaway, so I held on to them so we could, make a video together and more of a hangout and chat. And I'm going to show you some of the things that you could buy if you want to enter a chance to win. It's super helpful to me. I really need you guys to step up on this one and buy some stuff, even if you don't want it. If you want me to do more giveaways, because I'm a lot of money into this car. I got to add it all up. It's 130 plus, let's say. I mean, I paid 107 for it, 107.5 for the car. Add in tax and then all the parts we put on it and carbon ceramics and all that stuff, and yeah, maybe 140 is a light estimate. And we're going to add some money to it by radar detector, and I want to do the wheel studs, and I'm sure we'll come up with some other things that I'm seeing that I don't like, that I want to get set up. The concept of giveaways for me has always been set it up the way I want it. I'm building it for me. And then I'm stuck with the thing because I always spend too much money on it. And so how am I going to get out of it? And so a giveaway is a way for me to raise some funds, include you. You can get some cool stuff. Like this shirt is one of them. The shirt is freaking awesome. I'm a little chubby for red, but I'm gonna get de-chubbied at some point here, maybe in life, hopefully. But anyway, this thing is pretty freaking sweet. The look of this car, I mean, just look at it, it's nuts. Yeah, the new M2, the look of it is really helping my case here for this one, isn't it? So we'll put it up on the lift here and swap the studs. It's gonna make it look way better. Because I just had some, I think left over from the M5. I had some leftover Matt Schnell studs. They're a little too short, and so I put them on the front and rear, but because I have bigger spacers in the rear, it just wouldn't fit. And so I have wheel bolts and wheel studs, and it looks stupid. So we're gonna fix that. These I'm telling you, if you have a lift, these Book jack pads are crazy expensive. Just because we have to bring them in at 100 at a time or something from Germany. But they're magnetic and they're dense. They're freaking awesome. I mean, if we were in Germany, these things probably cost 20 bucks a piece, but we have to charge an insane amount of money for them. It's probably 200 bucks for a set, but if you were to buy one set, you'd probably pay 400 bucks to try to get it yourself. Like my original Buck ramps that I brought over, I think they cost me $2 grand for one set. You have to get them here with all the taxes and duties and all that stuff, and I think we sell them for $1,000 bucks, 800 bucks, something like that. So, for those of you who are always complaining about that kind of stuff, I say, suck it, because without it, we wouldn't have it. Let's take a look at the exhaust while we're under here. I want to see what it looks like. PSI put it on when they had it there, so I hadn't messed with it. It sounds terrible, by the way. I know I'm in the minority here of these cars and the S55. Freaking people love them. This exhaust is beautiful, beautifully weak. Looks so good. I wonder if I need to get the resonators out of here. It's a darn good looking exhaust. It's way better than the dirty diaper that hangs down stock. Heck is that? A little scuff there. Never put your car in a lift under Cree lights. It's a bad idea. You start micro nitpicking it. All right, let's take the front off. And, you know, I'd have the BBSs, so the BBSs are up here. If you want them, you know, I'll sell them to you cheap. Cheap meaning, I mean, those are probably $12,000 into those wheels, the RIDs. But the problem is the RIDs don't fit because they don't have a drop center with the big brakes. They're perfect. They're great for these cars, and they're super light. I mean, you'd lose 7 pounds per corner. I put them on the E92. That car felt so much more nimble. I just couldn't get over having to run such giant spacers, and I just didn't like how it looked. But, you know, they're great looking wheels on this car. They will work on an E92. You just need to run some big spacers. But the unsprung weight difference is pretty insane how light it is. All right, let's get our mid-torque. So, I think we have, so if you go to obsessedcars.com, you see it. I mean, it's the main image. It takes you right to the products. I think we have a mid-torque bundle in the as one of the options. You know, people get so bent out of shape saying, well, there's only 41 options or something like that. But we have to in order for this to work, we have to sell things that we don't normally sell. Otherwise, you know, let's say we sell $1 million worth of stuff at 30% margin or 35% margin. So that's 350 grand. But remember, I got to pay payroll and taxes and insurance, all kinds of stuff. So let's say we sold $1 million. We profited, gross profited 350 grand. And then I've got all my expenses and all the other stuff. And so let's say after that's all said and done, I would have made 100 grand or 150 grand. I can't give away a $150,000 car if I didn't sell any more stuff. It just doesn't work. Oh yeah, these iron carbon ceramics are so good. We'll just set the spacer there for now. So let's hopefully can get these off of here reasonably easily. Nice. I like to break them loose. Yeah, these are going to come off easily. So, our friends at Raceseng make these amazing, I'll show you in a minute, these amazing titanium studs. Now, I think they're like $800 for the set. And then the lugs are another $400, $500, $600, something like that. They're titanium, they're beautiful, they're completely frivolous and ridiculous, but they're amazing. I mean, it's everything about them is just great. Okay. All right, so come over here and check out the Raceseng stuff. Let me show you this. So the guys threw this stuff on the counter so I could see what we have. So we have the OG version of Crystal Serum Light, just kind of cool. Kind of cool little OG specific. The product's not any different, but Crystal Serum Light, Obsessed Garage branded, kind of cool. And then same thing with EXO. So these are an option. You buy these and I get you some entries every $5 you spend. And then what did I do with the key for the car? All these keys, I don't like keychains generally, but like, look how good that looks. So I also don't like just the key fob just hanging loose. So this is the sort of the titanium version on the M2 key from our partnership with our buddies at Raceseng. Same guys as the stuff we're doing. And then that's the blue one, and then there's a black one. These are pretty cool, I think. I like subtle stuff. And the blue matches the blue BMW, so I like blue the best, but this one is sick. I hadn't seen these yet. I like these. I'm torn because I like them both. I need to get some more cars so I can have some different. That brown one's freaking sick. That's cool. And then we have blue. And then silver and black. That's pretty sweet. Bryce did a good job on these. Bryce and Mike T. And then we have the red shirt, the blue-green shirt, blue shirt. These are all new. So one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to have, this is new stuff here. I don't know if I can show that yet, but new tool grid, freaking awesome. I sort of learned this from Rogue Fitness, is that, you know, Rogue Fitness has the Rogue Basic shirt, which is my favorite shirt, and they have it, you know, in like every different color that Los Angeles Apparel makes. And so these are the blue, green, red, just some, it doesn't really make sense for Obsessed Garage branded colors, but I don't know, I like having different colors. And then we had to do flex fit hats because we can't get any of the Richardsons, so we got all these different hats. This one's sick.
That's my favorite.
That's cool. I like off colors too, like weird colors that, you know, just something different. But then most of the time I'll go back to the old tried and true. And then, you know, I don't like this, but, you know, everybody talks me into this crap because all you losers drink coffee. Coffee mugs. And then these are sick, skate decks. Do we have, I don't think we have one on the M2 though, do we? So, look at that, that's freaking cool. I like these a lot. So you got the original GT3. You got the little purple bro. You got the E92. 1M, my 1M that I had with the HREs, and then this is the 901. This is the .2 RS. Pretty cool. Anyway, back to normal. I was playing with this stuff earlier, trying to figure out what are we actually selling. I don't have as much to say about this stuff anymore. All right, so when you get the Raceseng, you pull the little tabby, and then this is the titanium lug set, or titanium stud set. And so they give you a specific key. I think it's a normal size. I don't think it's a special size, but they give you a Torx, and then they give you some Vibratite 146. So we'll put a bead of that on there. And then these are the lugs, and I decided to do burnt titanium just because I've had the other colors and I wanted to try. This is a little boy racer, but when you have a gentleman spec like this car, sometimes you throw a little hot boy on there and it can look kind of cool. You don't like it and you win the car, you can change it. And so we'll put anti-seize on the threads because it's titanium on titanium. But look at how beautiful that is. And then the design, the way Raceseng designs this with their key, like this is a very specific, it's like a tapered bolt, so a regular socket won't work. So it's keyed and they're all the same. It doesn't mar up, the tolerances are tighter, so it doesn't mar up your lug, I guess we call this a lug nut, not a lug bolt, right? So the lug nut. I still like to do it. I don't like to use the impact on this because there is still a little bit of play. So I'll do this by hand and torque it by hand. But look at how freaking sick that is, man. It's so cool. So that's what we're putting on this car. So I think this combination is like $1,300. It's a lot of monies. A lot of monies, but super, super cool. Put a little bead of the Loctite stuff. Loctite is like saying Kleenex, you know. Loctite is a brand. This is a ND is the brand. You can only get them in one length. And because I have some pretty substantial spacers on this car, I have a 12 millimeter. It'll still work, but we won't see as much of the head of the stud as I do if I had a smaller spacer. What do they say you need? What did Savage Geese tell me? You need 7 turns or something like that to be minimum. Because my Civic didn't have 7 turns. I said, Civic doesn't have any power anyway, it's fine. Gosh, it's so pretty. The whole thing, the Olin shock, the brand new brakes. It's real good, people. It's really good. I don't know, something about that combo. Carbon ceramic, Olin's Fancy brakes, big Brembos. Nice clean looking D-nib tires. Coated wheels. Really good. I also, while I'm down here, I want to check the spec, check the torque on the bottom of the shock here. I'm going to check that. The only thing I cheaped out, I had spacers left over from who knows when. So I didn't do Future Classic spacers, but I normally do. These are Match Snell, which are good. Okay, see how that feels. So now, I'm gonna put a glove on here, trying to keep this out of my hair, and my hat, off my hat and off my clothes. So now you put a little anti-seize. So this would be a lubricated torque. And so lubricated torque means, so normally you would do, if you're doing 90 foot-pounds of non-lubricated, that's the OEM torque spec, we should be torquing to 78 foot-pounds. You want to be careful not to put too much of this on here. But I find that if you didn't lubricate these threads, they tend to I don't know how to describe it, but they jam up, if you will. They gall up. Be cool. At some point, we'll get Raceseng down here, and he'll school us on some of these engineering principles. So the whole, if you're not familiar, if this is the first car or you're new here, the whole giveaway concept for me of doing this kind of thing is just a way for me to, I want to own an M2, but I'm pretty sure I don't want an M2 forever. You know, so I wanted this car. I wanted to have one for a little while, a year or so. And when we do these OEM plus, like when you do stuff like this, like no one's going to pay extra for a car that has this. Maybe a little bit. They're not going to pay what it costs. And if you have short-term ownership like I tend to have, then you end up with these big losses. You know, even if you part the car out, you take a car apart and sell all the stuff. It's just really problematic from a financial perspective. And so when the first car I did was the 1M, and doing this process of anybody, for those of you guys who buy stuff from I&D, you know why I have these towels. They wrap everything in it. But the process of doing all this stuff, all this cool, fancy stuff to the car, and then, like that, and then having to lose all the money, it's just not it's not fun. And it takes sort of some of the fun away from this sort of idea of short-term ownership. And so this idea of, you know, I'm doing giveaways very different than most people do giveaways. Like I'm doing a car to my spec, whereas generally most people are doing giveaways. They're just doing, you know, they're doing it to maximize profitability, which, you know, profitability is nice, but they're buying a car, like a high mileage car, or some sort of slightly janked car. I'm looking for something great. I'm looking for a car that I want. Try to keep the anti-seize off of us. Ugh. I'll have to do a wash and talk on it this weekend. I'll do that for you. Lots of M2 stuff coming. I'm going to do my take on a comparison of CS versus the comp versus the regular N55 car, pre-CS. Ooh, yeah. That's spicy right there, bros. That looks good. Yeah, 12mm spacers in the front. I think I have 10 in the rear. This Hockenheim silver is pretty awesome, though. So the giveaway, the way it works is we'll finish it by midnight on November 10th, midnight Eastern on November 10th. And then we'll compile. Bryce actually worked with the app developer on Shopify to compile all the entries make it a little easier for us. And then it has a random number generator. And so sometime like we'll pick a date, but sometime around the 12th, 13th, 14th, something like that, depending on when it falls, we'll do the drawing live. And then this sucker's gonna get sent somewhere. And I've been so lucky. How many do we have? Like 3 out of 5 or Florida or something like that? I mean, Florida's our #1 market purchasing, but I think people are gonna start thinking it's fixed. Man, that is Mormon spec right there, bros. Got the floating 90 black painted center cap, black wheels, brand new carbon ceramics, Olin's, matched Chanel spacers, Dynon sway bar end links. We modify the end links to fit. Dynon monoballs in the front suspension. That's freaking incredible. So watch the center cap stays. At first, when I bought them, I accidentally bought floating center caps a couple of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, something like that. I'm like, that's freaking cheesy. And when you see that, you're like, that's cheesy, but it's actually pretty darn cool. Especially when you take the little chrome rim out and have the I&D gloss black. It's freaking beautiful. All right, let's do the rear. So rear, I don't have to take the studs off because I only have wheel bolts. What am I looking for? Here we go. I like these kind of car modifications, nice and easy. It's fun, it's relaxing. So you see, carbon ceramics don't dust like regulars, but they do give off like a metallic, the pad material gives off, especially when they're new, it leaves off like a metallic flake that usually, especially if your wheels are coated, you just spray them off with the pressure washer. There we go. One of them's fine. We won't need that anymore now that we're going to have wheel studs. When I took the wheels off to coat them, I did a 10mm spacer in the rear. It's perfect, man. The stance on this car is. So I promised, some of you that, I won't get as many complaints as I normally would about doing something like this, some sort of, fancy modification, like a car. This is built to what it needs to be, not built to a price point, right? And so that's a rare thing in the world. Most things are built to a price point. And so these are built, they build them, and they figure out how much it costs to make them, and then they add a margin to it, and then that's how they sell them. And so when you do that, it means the price can get a bit ridiculous because you're not cutting corners, you're building what it needs to be. Picking the right materials, hiring the right people. It's kind of the whole motto of Obsessed Garage. There's a breaking point on certain things where people won't pay the price, but there's almost always, if you build something really nice and if you develop a following, like I'm following Raceseng as a customer, I buy all kinds of stuff that they make, tow hooks and things like that. We have the Raceseng titanium tow hook in the trunk here. We very rarely use a tow hook, but if you needed a tow hook, we got a real pretty looking one in the trunk for this car. So this build to what it needs to be mentality is something I resonate with so much. And I promise you guys that are, those of you that are getting cranky right now, when you get to different levels in life, like I probably would have scoffed at something like this too. Actually, I don't know that I would have when I was younger. I wouldn't have scoffed at it because I wouldn't have been having any insecurity around it. I would have been like, I'm going to get that someday. I'm going to figure out, I know I can't get it today, but I'm going to get it at some point in my life. And if I didn't value it, like if this is something I didn't really care about, if I didn't like this, I just wouldn't. I mean, there's plenty of things like these Acura exhausts that everybody loves and spends money on. I don't love them. I want to love them, but they're just not great exhausts. They're great looking exhausts, they're great built exhausts, but it's not a great functional exhaust at sounding great in pretty much any car I've ever owned that I've had one on. This is probably my 10th different Acura exhaust. But doing stuff like this is the dream. This is the chase. This is the hope. I have it on that car. I own that car. I'm keeping that car. And so I'm not just pretending. I really do. I really did spend, not just doing this because it's a giveaway, I spent money on my own car because I really value this particular item. And I've had, the Machinells and the others, and they're just not as good. But what I was getting at is I'm telling you, as your economic status changes in life, hopefully you're fortunate enough that it will, that you think about things differently. Now in my case, I've been able to take this frivolous stuff that I like, the things that I'm passionate about, and turn it into a business, turn it into a business that not only satisfies my desire for this kind of stuff, but it finances my lifestyle. It pays for all the cars and is a more efficient way for me to do it. But I will tell you, I work way harder now than I did when I had a regular job. Much, much harder. Like, it's not even close. But it doesn't feel like work because I'm chasing passion. And most of us don't get to do that. I'm super fortunate in that. But your appetite or your ability to absorb something like this that costs this much on such a small item may change. Hopefully it changes in your life and you'll think about it differently. If you make 180 grand a year, you're probably not buying these things unless you just really, really value it. But when you start making a lot more money, you start thinking about things differently. You think a guy that makes $10 million a year thinks differently than a guy who makes $1 million a year versus a guy who makes $100,000 a year versus somebody who makes 50. You think about things differently. And if you don't understand that, and you have a hard time and this kind of stuff triggers you, I'm telling you, that's a microcosm of your future. You need to let that stuff go and focus in your energy on pursuit and improvement. That mindset, mindset has a lot to do with how well you end up. Now, some of us get lucky and find something like I did where you're passionate about it. And I have a bit more perspective having spent time this past weekend with people that are much, much more successful than me. And I have zero thought of jealousy or angst or anger toward what they've accomplished. I want to be around them. I want to absorb that. I want to chase, some of these guys have, 12 Porsches and they have what I would hope to have or dream to have in Carrera GTs and 997 GT3 RS 4.0s and things like that. And they have that because they didn't have a mentality of waiting around to see what other people did or having this kind of, that thing is stupid. That was like the common thought or common theme, common thing that I felt when I was there hanging out with these more successful people than me. I don't know how I got on that diatribe, but stuff like $1,300 lug bolts or lug studs and lug nuts is, I think, a good example of you have to be pretty passionate and you have to want to chase pretty hard to buy something like this. And you have to have, you know, resources and means to do it. And in order to get those resources and means, I think you have to have a proper mindset and attitude. So that's about it. I'm going to do the other side. I wanted to show this to you. I'm going to talk about the M2 a little bit. Accidentally made a little sales pitch to you on some of the items. We have a bunch of detailing items and things like that. Go to obsessedgarage.com. We have the new black version of the OG buckets. We have all kinds of cool stuff that qualifies for this, the OG spec Mosmatic gun and wand. But again, it can't just be a wide open everything in the store. There has to be a little bit of a markup over and above what we normally would mark up. There has to be a way for me to assume and pay for this thing, so that way I'll do it again. The next car, I'd love to do a Gen 2 NSX, I think. You don't have to do a lot, but wheels, lower, downpipes, exhaust, tune, all that kind of stuff. I have Carbon Stage 1 coming. It might be Stage 2, I'm not sure. I think it's Stage 1. The Carbon piggyback, because we can't flash this thing. I've got the exhaust done. I'm going to do a radar detector. I'm going to order that after I finish this video here, finish the wheels. And like I said, I'm going to do some other, you know, M2 discussions. I'd like to do a price breakdown on all the modifications, you know, what it takes to make a car OEM plus, you know, what it costs to do that. I'd like to make a video on that. I'd like to make the comparison video I was talking about. And we'll come up with a bunch of other cool stuff to do. Exhaust flybys, so we'll do some of those. Some more driving stuff. So lots of M2 car content coming. I know it's been heavy on house stuff here recently, but lots of M2 stuff coming up here in, over the course of the next several months. So thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. Go to obsessedgarage.com. Get your spot. Every $5 you spend, get you an entry. You spend a couple $100, you probably have a 1 in a few hundred chance to win a $140,000 car done to my standard. So anyway, thanks for being here, and as always, stay tuned for more crazy. We're going to keep playing with this thing and making it better. See you soon.